All right, today we're talking about the cluck. The cluck is a call that if you do it well, it's great. If you do it wrong, it can ruin your hunt. First, let's talk about why it can ruin a hunt. The cluck is one of those calls that is very similar in vocalization to a lot of different turkey calls. It can sound like a cut, it can sound like a cluck, and it can also sound like a putt. And if you aren't careful and you use the call and it sounds like a putt, you could put those turkeys on alert, and all of a sudden you're working to try to calm those turkeys down rather than coax them in. There are two main ways to make a cluck, and I'm going to walk you through both those ways so that then you can figure out what works best for you so that you sound more like the cluck versus the putt. So the first way to make a cluck is to just make use the word peck. I don't usually use words, but peck is a word that you can use, but you're taking a short burst of air and you're popping it through the call, and you're sometimes using your lips to just pop the air through. It sounds something like this. The second way to make a cluck is to say something that's like foot or whipped. And that sounds a bit like this. Now, if you pay a lot of attention to turkeys when they get up close, they make a lot of sounds that you don't even think about when they're farther away, that you don't even realize that they make. A lot of them are very soft whines and whistles and those like whip type sounds. So I tend to prefer that type of cluck over the other one. The reason is that if you hit that one burst of air, it takes a lot of diaphragm pressure to keep it at the right tone. If you hit that wrong with the burst, you're going to sound exactly like a putt. And here's what I mean. That's not bad. That's a putt. You do that on accident, that bird's going to throw its head up. Now, if it does that, it's okay. You can settle them down, because if you go back into a yelp, whoops. A lot of times I'll settle that bird down. So for me, I definitely like to use the whip, because I like to do those little soft whines, whistles. It sounds like a, and then my whine is a, here's what that whine sounds like. Those are just those. If you make a mistake on those, it still sounds very content, very good turkey sound. So you don't have to worry about it as much. Now let's talk about the different types of calls and how that works on different types of calls. What I was using was a single reed, no cut call, which I always like to do for subtle, soft calling, and I like to do it to try to get my mechanics down. But you can also go to something like a double reed, which is a double reed no cut call, such as this, and you can practice it a little bit more. So that's that popping. It's almost, if you do it really well, it sounds like almost like a bubble pops. And then here's the whip. And I just feel like you get away with a lot more with that other one. All right, now I'm gonna move up to a 3-reed call with cuts. Now, when you look at this call, this is a batwing, so it's cut out on either side. If you want to make a realistic call with this, you have to run the cut, you have to run the call in the air over where the reed is cut out. Otherwise, it'll be too raspy. Often overlooked when people are trying to run these calls, and what happens is it starts sounding like this. That's just really raspy. It doesn't quite sound right. And if you do it like the pop. Now that's one of the situations where if you are struggling with that, I do actually think that the pop sounds a little bit better, but at the same time, if you can find that sweet spot, you could make it sound a lot better. In order to find the sweet spot, blow air through the call. It'll be raspy if you're hitting the non-cut out part. Then move your tongue around until you get to sweet. I'm going to slide my tongue to the left and create an air channel running through the left side of this call. See how that sweetened up? That's where you want to try to run your call. You do that, it sounds way better. Here's what the pop cluck sounds like when I run it through the sweet spot. Sounds a lot better. So when you get into calls with cuts, you have to focus on getting that call to run through the sweet spot, just like the yelp. That doesn't sound good. Totally different. Now let's talk about when you use the cluck. I like to use this call when birds are in tight. Because when birds are in tight, my nerves are running high, I tend to lose a little bit of diaphragm pressure control, which then is why I like to use the whip call, because it's easier to control when birds are in tight, and your margin for error for bad calling is a lot higher when you're using that way of making the cluck. Here's an example from a hunt in South Dakota last year where I used the cluck and this whit with the single reed greenhorn in order to settle these birds down and coax them over to me so that I could get a shot. Well, those are the two main ways to use the cluck and why you need to be careful with it. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell to be notified of new videos, and click right here to watch more of our videos. Thanks for watching.